failing in his efforts to dodge, spin away, and avoid answering the $64 million question of the hour. What did he know about the crimes and perversions of his former friend, deceased sex offender Jeffrey Epstein?
One of the things with all of this news and all the things we've been covering about Donald Trump for the last decade plus that I would note is that he is supposed to be good at lying.
When secrets, scandals, and power collide, the truth rarely stays hidden for long. And today, one of the most controversial names in American politics, Donald Trump, finds himself back under the microscope. Not because of policy, not because of an election campaign, but because of resurfaced ties to one of the darkest figures of our time, Jeffrey Epstein. Newly released files, disturbing documents, and shocking televised reports are pulling back the curtain on what Trump knew, what he denied, and what the evidence really shows. This is not rumor. This is documented, investigated, and televised fact. It is the kind of story that challenges the boundaries of truth and spin. Stay with me, because what you're about to see is bigger than headlines. It's about accountability, power, and whether even the most powerful man in the world can escape the shadows of his past. Before we continue, a quick favor. Hit the like button so more people see this breakdown, and subscribe for more unfiltered political documentaries. Let's dive in. The first major revelation came live on MSNBC. Their report exposed an image of a $22,500 check from Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein, accompanied by a chilling note. The note described Epstein's early talents with money plus women, words that now read like a warning written in plain sight. To make things even more disturbing, the image contained a redacted face of a woman, allegedly a wealthy European in her 20s. Her lawyer quickly clarified that she had no romantic ties to either Trump or Epstein, and no knowledge of the letter. But still, the connection was undeniable. Trump's name, Epstein's account, and a financial paper trail that tied them together. This wasn't speculation, this was evidence, and it was broadcast live for the world to see.
Failing in his efforts to dodge, spin away, and avoid answering the $64 million question of the hour. What did he know about the crimes and perversions of his former friend, deceased sex offender Jeffrey Epstein? Revealed last night by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, a reference to Donald Trump in the now infamous Jeffrey Epstein birthday book. Take a look at this. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that it is a note from Mar-a-Lago member and businessman Joel Pashkow. It shows a poster board-sized check for $22,500 from Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. A woman's face is redacted in the image. Below the photo is a note. That note reads, quote, Jeffrey, showing early talents with money plus women, sells fully depreciated, name of the woman redacted, to Donald Trump for $22,500. The Wall Street Journal reports this, quote, the woman, a wealthy European then in her 20s, severed all ties with Epstein around 1997 and had no romantic relationship with either Epstein or Trump, her lawyer said. The lawyer added that she doesn't know Pashkow and has no knowledge of the letter naming her, which she called, quote, a disgusting and deeply disturbing hoax.
What you just heard wasn't tabloid gossip. It was official reporting from a national network backed by documents and multiple sources. The disturbing part is not just the money, it's the normalization of Epstein's predatory lifestyle, hidden in birthday notes and casual references. Trump's defenders argued it was harmless, but the language was anything but harmless. It wasn't coded, it was openly celebratory of Epstein's so-called talents. And that raises a chilling question. If so many people around Epstein knew and even joked about his crimes, how could Trump, who signed the check, claim ignorance? The evidence doesn't just suggest a connection, it demands accountability. Next, the focus shifted to how Trump responded. For years, Trump has built his political brand on dismissing uncomfortable facts as fake news. It has worked for him time and time again. But this time, the strategy collapsed. When the Wall Street Journal first reported on the Epstein birthday book, Trump was furious. He sued the paper, its parent company, and declared in open court that no such letter existed. His allies repeated the same defense: deny, dismiss, and discredit. But when the files were released and the letters emerged, the denial backfired spectacularly. What was supposed to be a false rumor turned out to be a documented truth, complete with Trump's own words and notes. And suddenly, the man known for rewriting narratives found himself trapped in his own.
One of the things with all of this news and all the things we've been covering about Donald Trump for the last decade plus that I would note is that he is supposed to be good at lying. That is supposed to be a thing he is good at. I mean, the conventional wisdom in MAGA land, at least, is that if Trump doesn't like something, whether it's a news story or a statistic or an immutable law of physics, he can just say it's fake over and over and over again. And eventually the theory is it will go away. Now, I would not have necessarily predicted that the Epstein files, I didn't predict at all. I wouldn't have thought this at all, that the Epstein files would be the issue that caught him up in his own blatant lies to a point where it seems to be one of his biggest problems. But 8 months into his second term, he is having a very hard time explaining himself. I mean, yesterday we finally got the highly anticipated Epstein birthday book. I was just talking about it with Chris. The one that was first reported on by the Wall Street Journal back in July, that was said to include at the time a body letter from Trump to Epstein, which we didn't see at the time. And Trump was so furious, remember that, a couple months ago, about that reporting that he immediately sued the Wall Street Journal and its parent company for defamation, declaring in open court that that birthday letter did not exist. Well, turns out, as we all, basically all of you watching would have predicted, we knew that would be the case all along, the letter definitely does exist, as do a whole bunch of other creepy letters to Epstein that were compiled in that birthday book. Now, I should warn you, many of the 200 plus pages, which were contributed by Epstein's friends, allude to his lifestyle with lewd references and suggestive images and incredibly crude and disgusting jokes. I mean, for example, one contributor expresses birthday greetings to Degenerate One, saying, "So many girls, so little time." Ugh. Another contributor wrote a poem noting that despite being an outrage to public decency, Epstein had avoided the penitentiary. One page seems to reference his lifestyle through clip art, depicting his plane and women in swimwear. You can see that on the screen, a little bizarre birthday note there. Then there is this particularly creepy illustration on the screen right now, appearing to show Epstein giving candy and balloons to female children in 1983, and then receiving massages and other things, apparently from those same girls, 20 years later. Disgusting.
As the MSNBC host explained, this was the trap Trump could not escape. The Epstein files didn't just expose disturbing birthday wishes and crude jokes, they proved that Epstein's crimes were an open secret among the elite. Contributors casually referenced his abuse in writing, without shame, without fear, and without accountability. And in the middle of it all was Trump's signature. The very piece of evidence he swore did not exist was now public. It wasn't just about what the files contained, it was about how confidently Trump had lied to deny them. For a man who has built his career on controlling the narrative, this was the moment the narrative slipped out of his hands, and the result was devastating. The third piece of this puzzle looks at Trump's personal relationship with Epstein, a relationship that evolved from friendship to denial. For years, Trump was photographed at Epstein's parties, laughing, smiling, and, according to witnesses, enjoying the company. He once even described Epstein as a terrific guy who loved women a little too much. Those words aged terribly, especially as Epstein's crimes became undeniable. But once the scandal broke, Trump's tone shifted dramatically. He went from calling Epstein a friend to insisting he barely knew him. The transformation was sudden, calculated, and deeply suspicious. Because when someone goes from friend to stranger overnight, it raises more questions than it answers.
Now, taken together, they suggest, of course, all of this stuff, these were all birthday notes to the same guy, suggest that his behavior was a very open secret. I think we all know that by now. And it was among those horrifying pages that we saw this birthday message, appearing exactly as it was first described by the Wall Street Journal and bearing Trump's very distinctive signature. And so Trump, who confidently told the world that this drawing did not exist, of course changed his tune. I mean, immediately the White House and its allies started pushing a new claim. Now they say that it's not the letter that is fake, but Trump's signature on the letter that is fake. Maybe they sat in a meeting and discussed that was the thing they should say. Who knows? Never mind the fact that there are multiple nearly identical examples of Trump's signature on letters he has signed throughout the years. You can see them all on the screen, including ones he himself published in a book called Letters to Trump. Who knew when he had that book put out it would be so apt today? Now, Trump's claim that this signature was fake was so obviously far-fetched that by this morning, even Trump himself appeared to have given up selling that particular storyline. When reached by NBC News, Trump did something he almost never does. Can barely count how many times he's done it. He gave a rare no comment, basically. He said, quote, "I don't comment on something that's a dead issue." As if saying it's a dead issue means it's a dead issue. But clearly the issue is still very much alive, because by this evening, Trump was back to denying that he had anything to do with it.
It's not my signature, and it's not the way I speak. And anybody that's covered me for a long time knows that's not my language. It's nonsense. And frankly, you're wasting your time.
I mean, look at J.D. Vance in that whole video there. Anyway, and now, as implausible as it may be, that faked signature theory has become kind of the official party line.
From what I see, it's not his signature. I've seen Donald Trump sign a million things.
This doesn't look like his signature to you?
Nope.
Well, I don't know. I mean, anybody can do a signature.
So you think really someone might have just forged this somehow?
Yeah, I mean, somehow it's so easy to do.
I think there's a dispute about whether that's really a signature. So, I mean, I think right now it's just going to be, that's going to be argued back and forth.
So you're just going to take the president at his word that
what does it have to do with anything? The president says it's not. I take the president's word.
This part of the story reveals the core of Trump's strategy: rewrite history, deny the past, and hope the public forgets. But cameras don't forget, documents don't disappear, and witnesses don't stay silent forever. Every clip, every quote, every photo shows that Epstein and Trump were closer than Trump admits today. And while distancing himself might protect his image, it doesn't erase reality. The more he tried to push Epstein out of his story, the more obvious it became that Epstein had been a part of it all along. Denial may have worked in speeches, but the evidence painted a very different picture, one that audiences were not quick to forget. The fourth revelation is perhaps the most disturbing. The Epstein files didn't just reveal Trump's notes or checks, they exposed an entire network of wealthy, powerful people who knew about Epstein's predatory behavior and looked the other way. Emails, letters, and testimonies described abuse as if it were common knowledge, treated almost casually by people in positions of power. Trump was not the only one, but he was certainly among the most prominent. What these documents showed was a culture of silence, complicity, and normalization. The crimes weren't a secret. They were an open scandal that too many powerful figures allowed to continue.
So the main thing that you would expect to see would be FBI reports of their interviews with victims, with other witnesses that really tell the story. And we know from Maxwell's trial that really focused on 6 girls. But we've also seen DOJ talk about hundreds, thousands of victims. So there's a lot more than what was presented at that trial. And Jeffrey Berman actually says in the book, because of all of the nonsense that went on in Florida, they really tried to focus their case on what happened in New York, acts that were in that New York house. And so it is highly likely, going back and looking at that book again from Jeff Berman, that it sounds like they really tried to cabin their case about what they could prove that wouldn't get damaged from that non-prosecution agreement, that sweetheart deal in Florida. So there's likely a whole lot there that was not presented at trial, that is not public, of victims telling their stories that we have not heard. And then that gets backed up when the investigators try to corroborate those victims, right? So they're looking for, search warrant returns. I think there are multiple search warrant returns that have not been made public. What did they get? Did they get photographs, videos, documentary evidence? So there is a lot there that is still, I recall you mentioning on one of your other shows, like over 300 gigabytes. To put that in perspective, that's about like 90 million pages if you were just looking at pages. So that is a very tall building is just what that would be. It's a lot of information, and we have not seen all of it.
What's the significance?
This is where the outrage intensifies. When abuse is hidden, it's a crime. But when abuse is normalized, joked about, or ignored by leaders of nations, it becomes something far worse: systemic. Trump, who claims to be a fighter against corruption, was caught not just in the orbit of Epstein, but in his inner circle. His words, his notes, his financial ties, they all connect him to a man who preyed on the vulnerable while being shielded by the elite. And when evidence of that culture of silence was revealed, it wasn't just Epstein who stood accused, it was everyone who enabled him, including Donald Trump. So what does this all mean? For years, Trump has thrived on controversy, surviving scandals that would destroy ordinary politicians. But the Epstein files are different. They are not campaign spin. They are not media rumors. They are documented, investigated, and undeniable. And they reveal a story of power abused, friendships denied, and truths hidden in plain sight. Whether or not this changes, Trump's political future remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. The truth has a way of resurfacing. And when it does, no amount of denial can bury it again. This is the story of Trump, Epstein, and the secrets the powerful hoped you'd never see.